What's good, YouTube? It's the Base God in Yu-Gi-Oh! Here on TeamBlackRainbow's channel, coming at you guys with the ban list predictions. I'm going to be dividing it up into either 4 or 5 parts, because I will be doing it like first part, forbidden list, second part, limited, third part, semi-limited, fourth part, unlimited, and then fifth part, honorable mentions, like cards that people think that they should have hit but they didn't, or just this is all just opinion, and I'll try to give good enough reasons as to why it should be hit. And yeah, as you can see right now, I'm showing the current forbidden list. You have, like, last format, Global was banned, Spore, Shishula, and then the Trap Deshut. So yeah, if you don't know the ban list from last format or previous formats, you can just go Google Yu-Gi-Oh! Ban list and you'll find everything as it is up to now, the March 1st ban list. And yeah, so the first card I want to talk about that I believe will get banned slash forbidden is going to be Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning, just because there was honestly no real reason for it to even come off the ban list. People were saying, like, oh, there's bottomless, there's torrential, there's no more priority. Like, if that's the case, why are some of the other cards still on the ban list? There are way weaker cards than BLS that probably wouldn't fit the meta today, like Tsukiyomi. I understand how broken that card was, but it will never mount to how broken BLS is, because this is a free. This isn't a normal summon. Tsukiyomi, it's a normal summon, and its effect is mandatory. So if you didn't know about it and you normal summoned it with like nothing else on the field, you'd have to pretty much flip that face down in order to, like, just because you have to do it. It's like a mandatory effect. For BLS, it's a free special summon. You can bait out the back row like it, and its effects are really, really broken. You could banish a monster, whether it's face down, face up, anyway. And if it destroys a monster by battle, you can attack once again. So it can be really broken. And it's 3,000 attack. Like, how many monsters in the game right now can rival 3,000 attack? The only card that really comes to mind is Acid Golem. Then, if you're ever forced to make an Acid Golem, you're probably like losing or going for game. But they have this on board. How are you gonna do that? Also, it's light and Honest is still around. So BLS and Honest. Also, there's Army Arm, BLS Army Arm. That's broken, 4,000 attack. And it's been a good year with it, but I think it's time to finally say goodbye. And yeah, so goodbye, BLS. It's been a fun year with you. The second card I want to talk about is Wind Up Hunter. To be honest, this is the only card that makes windups as good as it is today. It's a pretty skillful deck without the loop. So honestly, if they took away this card, it would be more fair. Just because, like, your opponent can make a whole bunch of rank 3 exceeds, and that's it. Like, they get like push for game and all that, but if you have a follow up next turn, then you could probably come back. But if they were to wind up loop you and they hit that power card, like that Dark Hole, that Cyber Dragon, that BLS, if they hit that out of your hand, what are you to do, And honestly, they could hit all 5 cards with Pot Avarice. It's really broken. It's really cheap, to be honest. And I just don't think this card should be alive. Just because it's not fun to get wind up looped. I'm sure if you ask anyone who's ever been wind up looped, it is definitely no fun. And there's other cards that take away cards from the hand. And honestly, those cards shouldn't really be in the game. Like, there's that Gishki monster that you can reveal 2 in your opponent's hand and send one back to the deck. Like, not only does that give your opponent a neg1, it also gives you info about what's in their hand. And if they continuously do it, you'll eventually know what's in your opponent's hand. And it's really unfair. But yeah, that's the only reason why I think Hunter should be banned. Just because of the loop. That's pretty much it. But yeah. The random card that I think that should get banned, and probably will get banned, is Card Destruction. Just because it's a huge power card for Dark Worlds. Especially if they just open this card and like 5 Dark Worlds, that's super broken. And it also helps out in the empty jar deck, which shouldn't even be viable right now, but it still is for some reason. But yeah, you guys wouldn't think, but card destruction could possibly help your opponent win games. Like if they top deck it in Dark Worlds and they have a handful of non-playable monsters like 2 Grappas, a Gold, and a Silva. I mean, it's their fault for playing those cards, but if they were to get that off, that is pretty nutty. And people don't understand. Like if you've ever played Dark World, that deck can be super sacky, and as if it wasn't bad enough, getting like dragged down and everything. Imagine getting card destruction and then dragged down, and like they'll see your hand, they'll see if you have a BLS, and they'll check your graveyard, and it's just no fun playing against Dark World. And especially Empty Jar. Empty Jar is a horrible deck. I don't know why anyone would ever play it, but it's pretty bad if you lose to it. Like you can get pretty frustrated, and this card only enlightens it. This like card pretty much tells like deck out and empty jar decks that you guys are still alive. Don't worry, we'll make it through the day, we'll make it through the night, and that's honestly why I think it should be banned. I mean, it's limited for a reason, but just imagine if someone was able to make a super competitive deck with card destruction in it. Fabled never actually rose to the top, but we'll just have to see. But honestly, I think card destruction should get banned for reasonings I stated earlier. The next card is Pot of Avarice. This is pretty obvious to me just because it rewards those decks that mill a lot, and it's essentially a +1, and you could reuse cards that you've already that shouldn't have been able, or it lets you reuse cards that you've already played once, except you gotta draw 2 more cards. Like, trust me, I play this card and I understand how crucial it is. So imagine you and your opponent are top decking, like he draws and sets. You draw and you activate this, you're gonna be at a +1 advantage. So this is pretty much a free +1 at that. The only requirement is that you need 5 monsters, and the only real thing to stop this would be like Magic Drain, Solemn Judgment, Magic Jammer, Lagia, and I don't know, Seal of Orichalcos. No, but DD also stops this because it can remove one of the targets. You don't have 5 targets, but I just don't think this card should be in the game anymore. Like I said, it's an essential +1, and Pot of Avarice is pretty nutty, especially if you draw it. Like, as of right now, windups abuse this card, plants use this card when plants are very dominant, and like to an extent, Dino Rabbit can use it. It gives the deck live Tour Guides, live Rabbits. Like, trust me, there's no other like worse feeling after seeing your opponent use like 2 Rabbits, and then he has 4 Vanillas in the graveyard. And you summon Tour Guide and Sangan, and then you say okay, and then they activate Pot of Avarice, returning back their 4 Dinos and like a Veiler, and then they could Rabbit into another one, and it's no fun going against that. But yeah, I think this card should be banned for reasons said. Another card that you guys might think I'm crazy about is Mind Control, but think about it. This card can essentially help you go for game as well. Say they have a face down monster, and you have a 19 beat stick, and your opponent's only at 1800. You top deck this, take control of their monster, bam, attack for game. As if it wasn't good enough when Synchro was viable, we also have XYZs now, or Exceeds, whatever you want to call it. And to be honest, not many players would set like a level 5, level 6. If they were to tribute summon, they'd normal summon it. So then, if they wanted to exceed into like level 5 or 6, it'd be pretty difficult, and then your opponent would go super minus. But for right now, mainly you see like level 3s and 4s, and those are the most common exceed levels as of right now, followed up by 5. But as of right now, Mind Control can help you go for game, steal your opponent's monster to exceed or synchro, and it can generate somewhat of a plus, as if you were to mind control your opponent's Utopia and overlay your own Utopia Ray, you mind control their Chaos Sorcerer or BLS and activate their effect. Like, there's so many nutty combos you can do with it. You can mind control their face down Penguin Soldier or Snowman Eater, or flip and activate its effect. And this card can really bait out a lot of negation of some sort. So I mean, we have Brain Control on the ban list. We have Change of Heart. The only thing that requires this would that be like, can't attack and can't be tributed. I'd honestly rather switch Mind Control with Brain Control, just because Brain Control, first you have to pay 800 as a cost, and the monster has to be face up upon resolution. So if they were to Book of Moon it, bam, you go like neg 800, if that makes sense. And this one, you mind control it, take control of it regardless. Doesn't have to be face up, doesn't have to be face down, and just do whatever plays. Also, it can give, if they use it like turn 1, it can give your opponent some hindsight into what you're playing, and I just think it's time for it to go. And the last card I believe should be banned is probably the card that everyone's talking about, Future Fusion. This is the card that everyone's saying, oh, it should get banned, but this is the card that I think has the highest most likely not to get banned, as of other cards in the format that you would think would have gotten banned, but it took a while. Like, I honestly think TG Hyper Librarian should get banned soon, but, nothing you can do about it. But honestly, I think Future Fusion should get banned, because everyone says that Chaos Dragons are overpowered, but to be honest, I've seen so many Chaos Dragon duels where they've milled the Future Fusion on accident, they don't draw it, and they could still pull out a win. The Lightsworn engine is good enough. And this is pretty much deck thinning. So then you activate this, right? So say you draw your 6 cards, you're at 34 cards, you activate this Future Fusion, and this is with the hand where you did not draw any dragons. So you send 5, 2 of them most likely are Wyvern, so then you send and you banish 2. You go from a 34 card deck to a 27 card deck in an instant, and that's really not fair. and if you didn't, if you have dragons in your hand, it's okay, there's a bunch of dragons. You can just send, you could pitch for Pulsar, you could remove for Chaos Source, you could banish for BLS. It's really unfair in Chaos Dragons, especially if they go turn 1 Future Fusion. I know many people think they're triumphant when they beat a first turn Future Fusion, but in reality, good job, because first turn Future Fusion is no fun. It's probably the worst thing besides playing against first turn hand loop with no maxi. And also, I think this card should go because of the Dark Hero, or Escuridao, whatever you pronounce it, is finally going to come out. I mean, it's been out in the US, it's been out in Japan in the OCG, and it's finally coming out in the US. And to be honest, it's really broken, because if you were to activate it, you could send random E-Hero monster and Zephyros, activate Zephyros effect, bounces back to your hand and activate it again, send another monster, another E-Hero and Plague Spreader, send it into Brionac, and just keep pitching it as back to your hand. People think that they should ban 5-headed dragon, but that's not the problem card. It's Future Fusion. Sure, people say, oh, it allows fun decks to compete. What fun decks are you talking about? Jinzo OTK? No one likes OTKs. I want to slow down the format. I don't like getting OTK'd by turn 3 or 4. But if that's how the format's going to be, then I'm going to play something else. Not like Card Fight Vanguard, but different deck. But honestly, these are my banned predictions, and you can look forward to my limited discussion wishlist thingy. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my ban list prediction part 1, and look forward to part 2 coming soon. Thanks for your time. Base God and Yugen, I'm out. Bye.